Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm back at it again with another video. So, what can you say now, folks? What can you say now? They lost. AEW lost. They went head-to-head with NXT, and they lost. And here's the thing. We're going to get some excuses from Dave Meltzer. As a matter of fact, let me look up Dave Meltzer right now. I bet you he has an excuse. They always have excuses, bro. There should be no excuse to this. Oh, there goes this tweet right here. I pulled it up off of Google. NXT beat AEW last night. 619,000 for NXT, 523,000 for AEW. NXT does have the edge, being in 9% more homes as a network. Dave, you just don't get it, bro. How many excuses are you going to come up with, bro? What does NXT, which, by the way, they're doing the exact same numbers that they were doing on USA, my guy. That's the exact same numbers that they were doing. See, everything ruins your argument, bro. Everything ruins your argument. They were in their normal time slot. AEW, that was. NXT was not in their normal time slot. They were on a Wednesday, homie. They were on a Wednesday. So that right there already ruins your argument. But let's just go a little bit further on, bro. Bro, they did the exact same type of number that they would typically do on USA. What are you talking about? 619,000? That's about the average for NXT when they were on the USA Network. Another question before I say the blatant obvious. How many people don't have cable who have CW where that actually makes a difference? I never really understood that argument. So like the whole argument is CW has more homes, available homes, right? 9%. But within that 9%, how many of them are professional wrestling fans for that to make a significant difference? Like, I never really understood arguments like that. Oh, they're in 9% of homes versus this versus that. I can understand that for, say, a SmackDown in the millions when they drop dramatically in the manner of how they do, because the context is there. You can see the correlation. You can't see the correlation in NXT because they're doing the exact same numbers that they were doing on USA versus what they're doing in CW. They have a niche audience. The same people who are watching on USA are the same people who are watching on CW versus SmackDown, for an example, that's more available to a wider audience, meaning there's more room, there's more maneuvering to have casuals who probably don't have cable where you can draw that correlation, especially when you see the massive decrease from where it is now versus where it was then. You can make that argument then. That's when it makes sense, Dave. And you know this to be the case. But let's just go with the blatant obvious. Ignore every argument that's directly in front of your face. Let's go with the blatant obvious fucking thing that you didn't even try to consider. What does NXT getting 619,000 have to do with AEW pulling in one of its lowest ratings it's ever done? One of its lowest ratings. No shortcuts, no nothing. It's normal time slot, nothing from what I can understand that's going up against it. And for what that matters, even if that does happen to be the case, I don't know if there was anything on last night, but even if that does happen to be the case, people still chose NXT over AEW, which I don't think anything was on. You can't talk about the elections. That was Tuesday. And again, if it was the elections, it apparently didn't hurt NXT like it did AEW. What does AEW getting its lowest rating of all time has to do with NXT? Folks, let's just call a spade for a spade. I said it last night. It's funny how the numbers kind of reflect how I talked about it last night. Okay, both shows combined can barely do 1 million. But like I said last night, if you're going to pick the best of the two shows, I thought they were both trash last night. The numbers reflect off of that. I don't give a damn who liked NXT last night. The show was trash. I don't give a shit. Say whatever you want to say. But at the same time, though, if it's between NXT and AEW as far as who had the better product last night, it was NXT. They were the better show last night. Straight up, flat out. They had more compelling characters. They had more better stories. Not that that's saying much because nothing was really compelling last night, but at the same time, it was more compelling than AEW. It just simply was. They were the funner show. They just simply was. They were the funner show. Seriously, you see all these people who are talking about the Wednesday Night Wars. Swing it around one more time, brother. And then you have Dave Meltzer making all the excuses in the world. And then they get mad at people like me when I say things like, well, no, both shows are pretty trash. And no, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And then you look at the numbers, and the numbers, they reflect more on my opinion than the people like the idiots who are arguing about NXT being super awesome last night when it really wasn't. Or people like Dave Meltzer who are coping for AEW. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I'm just telling you how I feel. And apparently it seems like they're lining up with how I feel, not what the overall internet thinks. Folks, professional wrestling is trash nowadays. I don't know what to tell you. It is really, really trash nowadays. Now you can find a golden nugget here and there. Obviously, there are some competitors and some superstars who are good, who are captivating in more ways than one. It's not to say that the entire wrestling business is absolutely down in the dumps and there's no one who can save it. No, there are multiple things that you could probably put in line, and you could say that if you could work on a little bit more, maybe it can be better. Obviously, you look at something like the Bloodline, that stands out as the most obvious thing, right? Pretty sure Kevin Owens right now in his character arc is pretty decent right now too. NXT, it was just bad last night. That doesn't say NXT is bad at all. NXT is still the best wrestling promotion, period, point blank. They just had an off night last night. That doesn't have anything to do with NXT not being the standard bearer for where every wrestling company should be trying to follow right about now. They are awesome. NXT is an awesome, awesome, awesome wrestling promotion. Do not take what I said last night and pretend as if I'm saying that NXT is trash overall. No, NXT is the best wrestling promotion going strong today, and it's not even close. They just had a terrible show last night, and I think that has more to do with the fact that Shawn Michaels was trying to outperform AEW at what AEW does best, which is pretty much catering to the marks. And look what happens when you cater to the marks. You get numbers lower than where you were previously. NXT should just focus on what they're doing consistently, developing great characters, developing great stories, cohesive stories, not focusing on the aspect of the match for the sake of the aspect of the match. Okay, these guys actually do DEI a hell of a lot better than most of the world when it comes to media. Okay, they just don't throw their girls out there just for the sake of throwing it out there. They actually give them meaning, they give them substance. NXT is very, 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 very fucking good. They just had a terrible show last night. And AEW, it's the worst wrestling promotion going strong today. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. I don't know. For all the AEW marks out there who are super angry, who get super frustrated about all that, I don't know what you want me to tell you. You make up all the excuses in the world as to why this happened, or why this happened, why this happened, or why this happened, when the proof is right in front of your face. The product is terrible. You threw everything at the wall last night. Everything. You had at least going into it, like I said, it's still up there in the community post. None of it is edited. I said, on paper, AEW had the better card going inside it. And look what happened. You had the better card. What you should have done throughout the night was give the primary focus to the Hurt Syndicate. That's what you should have done. That should have been your primary focus, the Hurt Syndicate happening throughout the night. And what did you do? You took a bunch of nobodies and you plastered them throughout the card. You pretended as if they're actually somebodies, and then, well, look what happened. Look at your main event. And what way is that main event supposed to carry your brand going forward? You just did it because it was a good match. You did it because we have a return. No substance behind that return. No, look, I would love to get behind Will Hobbs. You haven't done a good enough job to get me behind Will Hobbs. No one gives a shit about Will Hobbs. I would love to, but you haven't given me a reason to, because you keep burying on your big man. You know, your main event, you put a bunch of flippy guys out there who have no charisma whatsoever, and look what happens. You don't know what you're doing. Tony Khan does not know what he's doing. I just shitted on in AEW probably in the good, week or two now? As far as consistently shitting on them, it's been about a week or two now. As far as focusing on them, I stepped back and guess what? Still happening. Still happening. You can like the show for what you like about it. I'm not here to say that, hey, you can't like the show. But what I am here to tell you is that your opinions, in the end of the day, do not align with the rest of the world. And consequences are going to be damned. The consequences are going to happen. See, here's the thing. NXT ain't going nowhere. NXT, they're underneath WWE's umbrella. You know, NXT, they're just a developmental brand when it's all said and done. They are there as a farm system. They created their own farm system to pick from. They're not going to go anywhere. Even if they were to be taken off of television, they can easily go on Peacock. NXT is here to stay. We don't have to worry about that. I keep telling everybody this, but they keep taking it as if I'm shitting on AEW for the sake of shitting on AEW. I'm not. I want them to do better. People keep saying, why don't you focus on WWE whenever they do things bad? One, because everybody focused on WWE. It seems like the small things that don't really mean anything for the most part in WWE, people try to take apart and make it as big as it's supposed to be. But the things that are happening in AEW, you minimize the hell out of it. You don't cover it that as thoroughly. You get a handful of Twitter accounts who plaster it, who talk about it, and they get like maybe at best 2,000 views and maybe like 500 likes. But no one talks about it on YouTube like that. No one talks about it like that on, say, the other social media platforms. Someone has to highlight it. That's what I'm here for. People are quick to highlight WWE. I'm not here for it, especially when the things that they highlight are pretty much nothing burgers. You want me to talk about the injury of Rhea Ripley? What am I supposed to say about that, huh? Give you a 2-minute commentary as far as, oh, well, you know, Rhea Ripley, man, I hope she does better. Hope she gets better. Oh, man, she's injury prone. What you want me to say to that, huh? That's it. Versus what the hell's going on in AEW? Like, for an example, Tony Khan most likely making an edict that because of what happened with Stephanie Vaquer, for an example, superstars who now sign with his company or who want to do business with his company can no longer just outright do business with WWE directly afterwards. Seems like the bigger story. And they have stories like that every other damn week. Superstars who are currently in a big position now who have faltered drastically compared to where they were previously. That's a big story also. Consistently, these things happen all the time. It's not that I don't want to focus on WWE. It's just that I don't see the things that are happening in WWE as being that big of a deal compared to what's happening in AEW, especially given their current position right now in the world of professional wrestling. I don't know why that's so hard to understand, but that's the thing. They do understand it. They do understand it. The problem is they don't want you focusing on AEW. The problem is they want to just stay in their bubble. Well, here's the thing. If you want to stay in your bubble, go enjoy it. Don't worry about how I enjoy AEW. You go enjoy it. I'm just going to be over here. I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. And I'm going to point out the faults that are happening currently in the company. Because I can tell you, look at the numbers and look what I said last night. Seems like more of the casual audience lines up with more with how I think versus how any of you marks think. And then I don't want to say marks like that because I don't want to suggest that I'm not a mark myself. We're all marks. You're here. You're a fucking mark. But I think it has to be said where you're a mark for professional wrestling versus being a mark for a specific company, especially given your reasons aren't even genuine. You don't care about the product in itself. How many times am I going to have to say this? AEW fans, for the most part, they do not care for AEW like that. It's not to say that they don't care at all, but it's to suggest that they care more about WWE losing than they do about AEW winning. And that's a huge fucking problem. It's like the whole socialist argument when talking about the poor and the rich. You don't care about the poor being poor. You care about the rich being rich. And that's a goddamn problem. That's something that needs to be focused on. When you have people like Dave Meltzer here talking on Twitter and making multiple excuses about things that obviously make no sense whatsoever, that can easily be not even debated. Just the way he talks, it almost seems as if he's contradicting his previous statement as what he said in the past. It's so obvious, and it's maddening. It's maddening. It's not even sickening anymore. Sickening, I'm beyond that. It's maddening because you have followers who take what you say and they preach it like it's the gospel, but in reality, it's nothing more than a detriment to the company. And the more and more and more you do that, the more and more and more you influence these fans, the more and more and more and more you keep putting in their minds that there's nothing going on with the company, that your opinions are valid, that you should just watch the company and ignore all the haters. In fact, go after the haters if you can and use my arguments in order to debate these haters. Not only do you make them look like clowns whenever they have to talk to people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Not that I say I'm a fucking genius, but it's just obvious when you look at the numbers and you look at the fucking premise of what the hell's going on currently between two companies. It doesn't take a rocket science. And honestly, they're not rocket scientists, but at the same time, they know what's going on. It's all cope. It's all cope. And cope is going to be the death of this company. It is going to be the death of this company. It's all team sports before your team loses, man. Only problem is when your team loses in this occasion right here, man, then we have nobody to go up against WWE. Then what happens then? You sit here and you say that it's okay because they get the new contract, but you're not taking into account they're decreasing more and more and more prior to the contract. And now they're decreasing more and even furthermore and even furthermore after the contract. Where are they going to be in the next 4 years when they come up again for renewal? Do they get a renewal? You don't think about this. You're thinking about the short term. You're thinking about the short term, man. I swear to God, I care more about AEW than any of the marks who are out there pretending as if I hate the company do. It's a shame, man. It's a damn shame. This company can be so much more than what it is. It can be so much more. So much more. You can still have the high flying stuff. You can still have the kicks and the flips. You can still have all the stuff that you want, but you should not be plastering that as the end all be all, as the drawing factor for your company. Not everybody is down for that being the main attraction for what is going to make them want to watch the product. It's like they take the aspect of the indie stuff and they think like, oh, well, I mean, two things. One, if you don't like the indie stuff the way that I like the indie stuff, then therefore you don't like professional wrestling overall and you're not a real professional wrestling fan. No, you're wrong. You're horribly wrong. You're coping. That's one thing. And it's an elitist mindset to even think like that. It's like you're damn putting up a gate. Like you're guarding professional wrestling if you don't like it the way that you like it in 2024. But it's also super detrimental. Because not only do fans not heavily engage with the product in the way that you want them to engage with the product in that way, you don't take into account that in the end of the day, people are still watching television. That's your major flaw when you look at the programming nowadays. You don't take into account that people are still trying to watch a television show. This is not real sports. You keep treating it like it's real sports. Professional wrestling is not a real sport. It is simulated. It is predetermined. It is not real. And the more you keep treating it like a real sport, the more you keep treating it like team sports on top of that. Again, WWE ain't going nowhere. They're fine. They have alternatives. They're about to jump off of television. They're good. It's AEW who needs our attention. And the more and more you keep doing this, doing what Dave Meltzer's doing right now, making as many excuses as you're making right now. You say right now you have a TV deal. Where's that TV deal going to get you in about 4 more years? Think about it. Just think about it. They got their asses owned by NXT. Not because of cable. Not because of how many stations happen to be in the home. It's because the product sucks. It's because Tony Khan sucks. It's because AEW sucks. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Sit here and cry about it some more. Wait for it. Wait for the actual inevitable downfall to happen. Or just take it in stride, wipe your tears, and have actual choices. The indie style does not have to go away, but it can't be the end all be all. And if you keep continuing this behavior, you got more problems than this being the end all be all. You're going to end it all. You're going to end it all one way or another. My name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I don't feel as if I trashed them. I feel as if I was very concise, and I feel as if I just spoke my mind and told the truth by what's fucking blatantly obvious directly in front of your face. But if you want to take that as an insult, you want to take that as someone who's trashing your company, you want to bring other things in order to deflect from the actual problem that should be discussed right now, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't tell you. Cry about it some more or get the fuck over it. Catch you guys later. Deuces. P. Ice.